Time keeps on leaving and we keep on moving. When do we pass on our wisdom to the youth? My veteran story, lost arts discussions, fireside chats with a bourbon or two. It's time to hear the stories by military veterans. Get yourself ready. It's the Lost Arts Podcast. The Lost Arts with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast. That podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. I am your host, Andrew Cox. On today's program, we have Marine veteran, Gunnery Sergeant retired Dave Kile back on the program for a fireside chat. But before we get into that, are you enjoying the podcast? Then consider being a TLA patron. That's the Lost Arts patron. It is with donors that we are able to continue recording these podcasts and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Just go to the Lost Art website and click on the Become a Patron link. Any donations are appreciated. If you would like to be a guest and tell your story, then email me at thelostartwithandrewcox@gmail.com. All right, Dave, welcome. How you doing? And I've already lost you. Dave, did I lose you? Hello. I didn't lose you, did I, Dave? Are you still there?
Okay.
All right. Hey, Dave, how you doing today?
Very good, Andy. How are you?
I'm perfect. I can't complain. We're trying to figure out this technology stuff. It is beyond both of us, I think. We'll eventually get there, though.
We just got to go back to the old sound-powered telephones, and we'll be okay then.
Yeah, that's true.
Heck of a long wire, but we'll be okay. Oh, boy. All right.
That was good. I was telling Dave how previously I was recording a podcast and I thought I lost like over an hour's worth of material, and I was freaking out, and luckily the wife was able to save me and find it and fix it. But anyways, that's what we were laughing about before we started here. And of course, we couldn't stop laughing for a minute. So, hey, what have you been up to?
Just a little bit of life and, keep moving on.
Yeah.
Listening to your podcast and being inspired by what you do.
Okay.
All right. After your Manly Man podcast, I went into a whole deep fit of philosophy trying to figure out, okay, what does it mean to be manly? What does it mean to be honorable? What does it mean? Holy crap, we used to carry around those cards in the Marine Corps, those
That's right.
honor, courage, commitment cards.
Yeah.
What does that mean? We had a little ditty that we had, we learned the ditties, and if anyone asked us, we could tell us exactly what it was. But what really does it mean?
Yeah.
So that's what happened to me.
Okay.
I fell down a rabbit hole.
Well, there's nothing wrong with rabbit holes. Sometimes you need to go around in them, check it out, and see what's happening. Those types of things. Well, I mean, tell me what did you what was the end state of this rabbit hole? Like what all happened in there?
I think it came about because you were talking about the manly men thing and how we develop into men. And I was struck by one of the books. It probably doesn't come as a shock to most people who know me, but I am a bit of a geek. And I know. But anyway, despite my rough and tough outside, I'm a bit of a geek. And I had read a lot of Joseph Campbell is his name. He was
Okay.
a teacher at, I forget which university it was now, but he taught the classics. He taught like classical mythology and all the
Okay.
other mythologies. And one of his big books was Myths to Live By, and then there was The Hero of a Thousand Faces. And a lot of it he talks about how the same themes keep coming up over and over again, and the importance of initiation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we learn to be men. We learn, and
Yeah.
women learn to be women too. I'm not trying to be sexist here, but how we learn to be adults, I guess, is a better way of saying it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And and how repetitive it is throughout history. I mean, this is not a new concept. The Marine Corps did not stumble upon a new thing
Yeah.
with all of this. This has been around for a long time. We
Mm-hmm.
keep having to tweak it a little bit to fit the new society or to fit, to fit what's going on. But
Yeah.
it's been a constant thing. And the importance of that initiation, which is sometimes lost in today's society. We don't have that. I mean, it used to be if you graduated high school, which was
Mm-hmm.
something that not everyone did. Some
Yeah.
people had to leave early to help work out on the farm or
That's right.
just get a job for the family. But
Mm-hmm.
if you graduated, that was a huge point.
Yeah.
In some societies where there wasn't school, it was when you first started shaving
Yeah.
or when the women had their first period, and then the other adults would take them aside and say, okay, this means this and that, and you got to
Yeah.
do this and that, and you shouldn't do this, and but there were those moments, and Joseph Campbell goes in his books. He talks about all the different initiation ceremonies that would happen and the things that would come about. And the Marine Corps, I think, did a really good thing when they brought about the crucible,
Yeah.
bringing that
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
in and making the importance of that and trying to instill so much. I mean, we even see it in, and I don't know this personally, but according to the different TV shows and whatnot that I see, but even in gangs, this happens with the idea of being beaten into a gang where
Yeah.
there's this
Yeah. Yeah.
initiation, and once you're in, you don't view yourself the same.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore you view everything else differently also,
Yeah.
and that change of perspective, that change of paradigm changes how you approach things. But in all of so okay, that was the first part of this rabbit hole, and that took about 2 days. I
Okay.
mean, it was a deep rabbit hole, man.
I got you.
Because then I had to go back. I had to go back and find the books. And I'm
Yeah.
digging through my books trying to find my Joseph Campbell books, and I'm digging out. Okay, so then I get to the point. Well, okay, wait a second now. I know, I know I've been initiated. There are some
Mm-hmm.
things I still can't grow my hair out. I just can't do it. It gets, too long. I feel like a llama. I've got to get a haircut. There are things I've been brainwashed in some ways,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I'm no longer an active duty Marine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer. That's not part of where I am anymore.
Right.
The courage and honor and commitment. I have to modify those terms that I live by because I'm not surrounded by that.
Right.
But what does it mean to have honor? What is honor? And so I fell down another rabbit hole. And now what does it mean to be honorable? And I even have asked some of my friends, what is it? What does it mean to be
Yeah.
honorable? Well, it means to do the right thing. Okay, good. So what does that mean?
It's a good start.
Well, yeah, to follow the rules. Okay, so do you consider yourself honorable? Yes, they would say, yeah, I'm honorable. Okay, so do you follow the speed limit? No, no, no. So you're not honorable. Which is a
Yeah.
silly thing because if you can almost get a ticket now for just doing the speed limit,
Yeah. Well,
because
yeah,
you're
that's true.
impeding traffic. You're
Mm-hmm.
impeding traffic.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to be honorable, to do the right thing? Well, does that mean in our society that doesn't mean anything anymore? People, there's a whole industry formed around not paying your taxes.
Yeah.
Trying to find ways to get out of that and
Mm-hmm.
hiring people to help you get out. That's not being honorable.
Yeah.
Or is it? I mean, everybody considers themselves honorable, but what really is it to be honored? What does it mean to have courage? And I know we talked about in the Marine Corps a lot. We talk about physical courage
Mm-hmm.
and mental courage and moral courage. But what does that mean to be courageous? What does it
Yeah.
mean to lead as opposed? And I remember, oh my goodness, the conversations in all the different academies, the difference between management and leadership.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but so my question to you then, I'm going to throw this out to you.
All right.
What does it mean to be honorable? What does a person of honor do?
Um, well, that's a good question. It really is. Um, I mean, we could look at the definition and see what that says. It's indicating immense or distinction, eminence or distinction, given especially to judges and certain officials. So you have that type of honorable, right?
Right,
The
right.
honorable Mr. So and so or whatever, right? So
Yeah, almost just a
it's a
title
title,
bestowed to some. Yeah,
right? Yeah. And I wouldn't say that that necessarily makes them honorable in the sense of what the word is, right?
right.
Bring it just bringing worth or worthy or honor, bringing honor to something is not necessarily a title that's bestowed on someone. That's what you show in your actions. So being honorable in many different forms. So for example, we're married. Um, Being honorable to my wife, making sure I'm staying faithful to her. I'm honoring her as a woman of the house, and I'm making sure that I'm putting her up on a pedestal of, hey, you are the woman of the house, and I need you there, and I want you there. So that's a form of being honorable. You know.
Yeah,
You talked about speeding and stuff like that. Um, in a perfect world, we wouldn't do that. Uh, but that's not necessarily. We don't live in a perfect world. None of us are perfect. So I don't see us all being able to do that. I know I cannot do that. And I only knew one person that actually walked the earth that was perfect, right? Um,
right,
yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
and I'm not him.
You're talking about me, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's it.
Oh,
Uh,
darn. Okay.
um, but yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell. It really depends on it, as long as you're showing worthiness on something is really that honorable thing, whatever it may be.
See, my problem is I'm trying to find this absolute, this base absolute. What does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be honorable? You
Yeah.
know, I forget it was written as a children's book, and I forget the name of it now, but it's a Navy SEAL uncle comes back and helps this kid through kindergarten because he wasn't being very physically active and whatnot. And through the entire thing, he's teaching him how to be more physically fit and be more basically going through all those rites of initiation that because he didn't have a father
Hmm.
and helping him along. And he talked about, the warrior's credo, and in it, the author did a really good job of pointing out that throughout history, there's been all these different warrior credos.
Hmm.
The Norse had some, the Vikings had some, Teutonic Knights had them, even feudal Japan had some. Everybody had their warrior credo,
Hmm.
and he talked about trying to melt it down into the essence, and then you have to figure out what it's important to you. So in a fit of foolishness, I decided, yeah, I'm going to take this simple project on. I'll probably have it done 20 15 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, 3 years ago in the summertime I read that book. And I still don't even know. I just trying to get down to the base, like, okay, because I keep going off on all these tangents. Like, okay,
Hmm.
to be good, I should follow the rules. Well, what rules? What rules do I follow? Whose rules do we follow? Okay, wait a second. Okay, all right. Let's get down simpler than that. Then I'm going to To be honorable to my wife. Okay, what does that mean? Should I be? Because there are some people that say, "Oh, well, you should keep her under your dominion. You need to force her to do the things that you need." That
Right.
doesn't seem right to me.
Uh-huh.
I don't follow that rule at all. And my wife would kick my tail if I tried that. And
Yeah, yeah,
or uh, there are some that seem to think that the best thing you can do to your wife, if we go back in time, is you marry for status, but then you have mistresses for love. And the two
yeah.
shouldn't mix because then you're mixing business and pleasure, and that's not something you're supposed. And just all these weird ideas, but somewhere along the line, there's got to be a base. There's got to be the bedrock of it all. So just trying to find that bedrock of honor, courage. What does it mean to be courageous? It just means to do the right thing, even when no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be it. But I mean, you could be stupid and courageous. You
True.
know,
Yeah.
is that actually a form of courageousness then, or is that just a form of stupidity? You
I think
know,
that probably depends on what way you're looking at it, you know?
but so I'm trying to find, and that's what I keep coming up with is that it's all a matter of perspective. Well, it can't. I mean, there's got to be a base to good, to right and wrong. There's got to
Yeah.
be at some point we should be able to get down to the bedrock of it and say, no, 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 this is right.
Hmm.
This is wrong. There's got to be a black and white somewhere. It's going to get gray real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I for the Marine Corps, right? The honor, I pulled it up. It says this is the bedrock of our character. You're onto something there. It is the quality that empowers Marines to exemplify the ultimate in ethical and moral behavior. And then it goes on, if you remember the little red cards, right? And on one
Yeah.
side it said, Marines never lie, Marines never cheat, steal. They abide by an uncompromising code of integrity, to respect human dignity, and to have respect and concern for each other. So that's the Marine Corps kind of laying out what they see as honor, and some
But
people would look
even
at that
in
and
that,
yeah,
no, no, go on. But some
uh,
people would look at that.
yeah, some people may look at that and to them, it may not be 100%. That's what it is, right? Never lie. Okay, well sometimes I lie, but I'm still honorable. It just depends on, I think, everyone's character and how they were raised, and what I guess organizations they belong to, and you know what I'm saying.
Yep, yep. But I mean, even in that definition that the Marine Corps gives us, to have compassion and empathy for others' feel. Well,
Hmm.
sometimes in order to have compassion and empathy for others' feelings, uh, you're almost it's almost honorable to lie.
Yeah.
Or did I do the wrong thing?
Hmm.
Yes, but I'm not going to say yes. I'm going to say you you should have done something different.
Hmm.
So it's just and I guess that's why philosophy isn't a is still a subject of education and research because we haven't really figured out the answers to this thing yet, I suppose. And then we get people who will constantly modify the ends just to make it better for themselves. Those sea lawyers who constantly just
Yeah.
weasel their way just a little bit further out. No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I followed the rule. You told me to come back in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You didn't say whose 5 minutes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
My watch stopped. My watch ran out of battery at 4 minutes and 55 seconds. So, when I put in the new battery 2 days later, then it started up again. I got back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I made it. I was here.
Yeah, it's so I loved the discussion that you had. That was fantastic.
Well, thanks.
And
I like talking about stuff like this because I don't know if we'll ever have a 100% true right answer. I don't think that there really is one. It's just I guess, food for thought, right? So people can
right.
think about it and go, you know what? Am I, being honorable? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? And that's really kind of where we're going with it. But yeah, I don't know. Will there ever be a right answer? I'm sure there will be at some point in time. Probably not while I'm alive, but
Well, I
at
think
some
that's
point.
kind of the point. Montaigne was a French philosopher, and
Hmm.
he's been used a lot to talk about how to live. Matter of fact, Sarah Bakewell, I think was the name, wrote an entire book on how to live, which was just looking at how do we model our lives based off of what Montaigne had written in his
Right.
books. And I think that's really what it comes down to is we almost have to define the end first. What do we
Hmm.
want? What do we want? Where is our finish line?
Right.
And then how do we get there in a way that satisfies us? Now, there are some people who, sociopaths and whatnot, who are going to justify that and say, yes, I lived very honorably. I,
Hmm.
I, I only killed the people who got in my way on that particular day.
Yeah.
Um, and I hid the bodies well. I didn't leave things out for little kids to see.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and I only raped the people after they were dead. And therefore I lived an honorable life.
Well,
And
maybe in that
in
person's
their
mind.
mind, yeah. But so maybe that's why we haven't answered is because we all have different routes. But
Yeah.
again, I guess because of the way I was brought up and because of what the Marine Corps did to me, I want a single right answer. I want just a single choice. There's gotta
Yeah.
be, man. What is honor? How do I act honorably? And is honor different now
Oh, that's a good
to me
question.
even than it was 35 years ago before I got married?
Yeah. Yeah. Does honor change over time? Uh, does it change as a society, or does it change on a personal level, or both? Right.
It
So
must, right?
I would think so.
I
Um,
mean,
what?
having slaves at one point was almost considered honorable for some people.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
We look at
Absolutely.
that now and think, "Ooh,
Yeah.
I,
And
I,
I say for sure it's changed over time. I think you think all the way back to uh, like the king and queens back in England and stuff like that, and how they saw things as honorable from their perspective or whatever. But you fast forward, to where we are today, and we're not anything remotely close to what they were thinking. At least in my
yep."
opinion.
Even just going back 200, 150 years ago, when it was, it wasn't dishonorable to kick indigenous people off their land
Yeah. Yeah.
because you needed it more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's staggering, and yet they considered themselves honorable.
Mm-hmm.
How, when we die, if there's a heaven,
Mm-hmm.
if there's a way to get the final answers, what are they sitting up there going, geez, what a putz I was. Holy cow, I can't believe I did that. And everyone else was telling me to do it, and I did it anyway. And it's, what am
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
think of myself later on? I'm going to get up to heaven, and I'm going to be given the final answers, and Merlin's going to be sitting there next to me, and you were a complete schmuck, weren't you? You know, and Jesus is, I'll be on the other side saying, hey, go easy on the guy. You're only doing what everyone else was doing too.
Yeah.
It's just,
Uh,
how do you, yeah. And so this is what happens to me. See, Andrew, you
yeah.
bring up a good question,
Uh-huh.
and I love your podcast for it, and then I fall down this rabbit hole that I can't get out of, you know. So I'm going through my books trying to figure out, okay, there's got to be a better point of reference.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll look this way. And I get into, when we did our martial arts training and whatnot,
Yeah.
uh, I got, I really kind of delved into the theories behind it. And so I
Okay.
bought Bruce Lee's book on the Tao of Jeet Kune Do,
Oh,
and
okay.
I followed that up with the Five Rings, the ancient
Yeah.
Japanese text on that,
Mm-hmm.
and going back through those again and reading those to try to figure out, okay, there's guidance in here about what the honorable warrior does as
Right.
opposed to the, I forget what Bruce calls, not dishonorable. He uses a different term, but yeah, what those are. And man, just going back through those, and I'm almost embarrassed when I stop and look at myself. I mean, you have to because that's how you grow. That's how you learn.
True. Yeah.
But wow, Yeah. I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven, my friend. Ah, boy, oh boy.
Well, isn't that really is what kind of the Bible, the Christianity is all about, right? As it's saying, we're not perfect as human beings, um, and you know, I think that's part of it. We're never going to be perfect, and we have to, obviously, you ask for forgiveness, you become a Christian, all that type of stuff. But hey, we're not perfect. Now we should strive for perfection, right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we ever going to make it there? No, I don't think we will.
I tell you, in the whole not being perfect thing, I think I'm perfect at that. That I've got down perfectly. Not being perfect, I think I may have actually excelled at that. And I suppose in that I've just blown it because now I've been too egotistical and I'm not, but
Very nice. I like
yeah.
that.
So did you throughout, because I know you made it way further in McMap and whatnot than I did.
Hmm.
Did you actually ever sit down and write out your own warrior credo?
I No, I don't think I ever did that. Now we had to read some stuff, but I never wrote anything out. No.
I
Maybe
know in the
maybe I was
old
supposed
gunny.
to, but I never did. I was being honorable to myself for to have less work. Yeah, we'll say
I
that.
know in the old gunnies course before I went through it,
Uh,
they had a thing where you actually had to sit down and write your credo.
oh
You
wow.
had to come up with your credo, and that was I think they got rid of that just before I got through my gunnies course,
Yeah.
and but yeah, I know that because one of the Master Gunnery Sergeant Lawrence, oh boy, Francis, there we go, Francis, had given me a copy of his when I was
Hmm.
getting ready to go to the sergeant's course. I think he gave me his copies because he thought it was something that we'd have to, do. And he's like, you should review this and see if this makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And never had to do it, but boy, I took it upon myself. This is a good idea. I should write up my own credo.
Have you done that?
What? Yes, I have a couple times.
Oh, really?
A
You have
couple times
several
I've tried
several
to.
different versions of it.
Yes, yes, and then again when I was at San Diego,
Hmm.
MCRD San Diego, I think it was the first time um, they were pushing the whole Franklin Covey,
Yeah.
uh,
The planners and
Stephen
stuff.
Covey, yeah,
Yeah.
Stephen Covey's seven tips for
Seven
being good leaders. Yeah, seven.
seven
I forget what it's called
habits.
here.
But
Habits of highly successful people.
there you go.
Woofy,
Yeah.
you're good. Yeah, you're good.
Between the two of us, we'll
And
figure it out.
between the two of us, we have one brain.
Yep.
That's
Yep. Sounds right.
and we got sent. A couple of us got picked to go to that course. That they had a week-long course there on the
Hmm.
base, and
Yeah.
we got to go to that. And yeah, even within that, we had to write up our own credo and what are the things that what does it mean to be successful, and how then can you map a way to get to it?
Yeah.
What does it mean? So yeah, I've written 4 or 5 different credos of myself to figure out. But as I look at it now, it's something I need to do again because now that I've retired,
Hmm.
I have been feeling myself wallowing. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be retired. I'm trying to slow down, but I have been slightly touched by the Marine Corps. So I keep rising in positions, and I keep that sense of looking out for the people beneath you and making
Hmm.
sure that making sure they've eaten before you eat and whatnot.
Yeah.
And um, I need to, but I'm not in the Marines anymore. I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I find myself wallowing quite a bit trying to figure out, well, what am I doing? It's definitely, and after listening to the Manly Men podcasts,
Hmm.
which again, I'm going to say that was fantastic. You had 2 excellent guests. Um, they brought up a lot of good points. Andrew, excellent job with that one.
Oh, thank you.
I'm
Thank
going to
you.
go back and listen to those quite a few more times yet.
Well,
But
if you haven't had the opportunity, I recommend reading the book, Mansfield's Book of Manly Men. It's a
Yes,
fantastic book.
I have that on my list. I'm waiting to get. It's supposed to be coming in shortly here. So,
Nice, nice.
yeah. But it's time for me to sit down and figure out again. Okay, what what is it that I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
Where is my finish line?
Hmm.
How do I map? How do I get back in my OODA loop? Where is? How do I orient myself to there?
Yeah.
Take some action. Look around again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that it'd be good for everybody to do, really. And just sit down, write down like what your like you said your credo, like uh, where is it that you're going, right? How are we going to get there?
Yep.
Type of deal. Is that kind of what you're saying with it when you say
Oh
credo?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, the credo is supposed to be much more of what is the bedrock of your, who is it that you are? What is the basis of your beliefs? What are the things that you would never do?
Okay.
You know, and in that regards, I have to say that I'm not the person I want to be because I mean, I would never, I would like to think that I would never just kill someone, but for 25 years, that's all I did was train to do.
Yeah.
I luckily I was never put in that situation, but
Yeah.
to say that I would never just kill someone isn't something I can say because
Well,
that kind of goes against what I was doing,
yeah, yeah,
To,
yeah.
to
But that
so
kind of goes. I don't know. I wish I could remember who this was. That have you read the book On Killing or On Combat?
yes,
Dave Grossman.
yeah, Dave Grossman, yes,
Yeah. So that kind of goes back to that whole thing that he was talking about with the was it the sheepdog, the sheep and the wolf, right?
yes,
Uh
yes,
so the sheepdog, well, let's say the wolf, right? The wolf is the entity that's trying to harm or trying to harm the sheep, right? The sheep
right,
being the people, right? American populace at this in this example, uh,
right,
and then the military being that sheepdog. Well, what's the
the
sheepdog
sheepdog,
there
yep,
for? Well, to protect them from the wolf. And then that sheepdog looks like a wolf, probably smells a little like a wolf, acts a little
yep,
bit like a wolf. You see his teeth, right? And so the sheep, they get scared of both. But that you have tendencies, right? As a sheepdog, you have tendencies toward violence, but that doesn't mean that you act on or act in that violence all the time toward everything.
right,
There's a you're there to do a job, right?
right,
Yeah. I don't know where I
yeah,
was going
that
with that.
no, an excellent point, yeah, and even after reading that, I remember because I forget. I think it started with Clausewitz's on strategy or on war, and then there were like 5 or 6 books after that, all on this, on that,
Yeah.
and yeah, reading through all of them. But yeah, and Grossman's book, he talks about the war, and then thinking later on, thinking to myself, well, but what was the wolf doing? I mean, the wolf was just trying to eat and feed his family.
Yeah.
I mean, to the other wolves, that was just he was a farmer,
True.
and just there
Yeah.
was it's it's hard. So yeah, so the credo, jumping back a whole
Yeah.
3
Sorry, I
tangents
got us
there.
way off
No, that's
track.
okay. It's and that's why writing my own credo is so difficult because you could jump off on a tangent and pretty
Yeah.
soon you're 15 pages down the road and you still haven't answered the first question. But I forget now where else. Son of a gun. You know, I don't think my memory was this bad earlier in life. Yeah.
So I looked up credo. Credo's the definition is a guiding belief or principle.
Yes.
So in your writing a credo, right? You're saying this is what I believe and how I'm going to basically live my life, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
The way it was presented to me was like, so your perfect image. What is it that is your perfect image?
Yeah.
And then how do you get to that point?
Okay.
What are the things that you would never do if that's your perfect image? Is if your image is the perfect Marine? Well, then how do you attain that? What
Right.
are you going to do? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and it's a very it's a very difficult thing to do though, because you do have to really look at yourself in a mirror that under some very ugly, harsh lights
Yeah.
and say, well, you know, and you have to enter it serious. I mean, it's not something you can just kind of slap together
Yeah.
because there are so many things that you do inconsistently in life. Well, I'm not going to break any rules. Okay, well, let's look at that.
Yeah.
Let's look at that.
I could I could break a rule without even knowing it in 2 seconds. It's
Well,
just that's
and
how
that,
long it would
yeah,
take.
or whose rules? In
Yep, true.
our
Yeah.
society, or even here up in Wisconsin, where
Mm-hmm.
I'm at right now, the rules are a little bit different than they are down south.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's
You
very
know,
true. Depends on the
you don't,
region. Yeah.
yeah, and some things that don't seem even important, calling it a water fountain or a bubbler,
Yeah. What
can
was
give
it you
you
said? A,
a bubbler,
a
water
bubble,
bubbler.
a water bubbler? That's what you guys call
Yes,
it up there?
yes, that's,
Is there any
yep.
other water bubblers out there listening? Um,
Yeah, you got a water bubbler, a drinking fountain, a water
yeah.
fountain.
A scuttlebutt,
Uh,
right?
yeah,
Is
there's,
there?
yep,
Yeah.
there's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 that's right.
it's some things that we don't even think of as being wrong because that's the way we're taught. So you can't say, I'm not going to break any rules. You really got to look closely at yourself and say, okay, I'm going to follow rules that promote what? Promote who? Who am I trying to promote? You can't say everybody because that means,
Yeah.
the sociopath behind you, you're trying to promote him too. Well, that's not a good thing. Just because your next door neighbor's, I can't even think of a sociopath now. Uh,
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer. There we go.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Just because your next door neighbor's Jeffrey Dahmer doesn't mean you should. Why? Maybe you should. Maybe you should show him some compassion. Maybe he wouldn't be as much of a sociopath. But I don't necessarily want to take him over, jelly every week because he may be inclined to. Or who's Ed Gein? Take him over jelly, and then he's gonna kill my dog and make a biscuit out of him to put jelly on or something. How? So who is it that you're trying to be?
Right.
You know, it's a
You you
difficult
were
thing.
you were thinking deep. I mean that was it's a very deep rabbit hole that you're in. And
Oh, these are the kind that I find. Yes, I'm a master excavator of these kind of rabbit holes. I tell you.
well,
And unfortunately, I've passed it on to my son, and my wife
oh
has picked
yeah.
up on it. And
Well,
oh
that's
yeah, I remember. Okay, he's going to be embarrassed when he hears this, but it's one of my favorite stories. So um, I think we're living in San Diego the first time I was there, and
uh,
and he's maybe 2 or 3,
okay.
and I didn't even see it. My wife walked past him. He
Hmm.
was laying on the floor of his room, and he's got a Matchbox pickup truck with the doors open on it. Some of the Matchbox you can open up the doors, Hot
Yeah.
Wheels car.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's laying on the floor, and his head is just like right in front of the pickup truck. And my wife says, "What, Christopher? What are you doing?" Well, I'm just imagining what it would be like to be in the pickup truck.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's at that age, he was playing at a level way beyond the other kids. Other
Yeah.
kids are playing, tic tac toe, and he's playing nine-dimensional
Nine-dimensional toy
combat
trucks.
croquet. I tell you, you know. So
I
yeah,
like it.
so it's something that I'm unfortunately given to everybody. Yeah, but how do you handle these kind of questions? I want to be a good person. I want to be a good person. That's kind of the reason that I think I even joined the Marines.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to be with the best. I want to push myself and be the best that I can be.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
But
true.
what does that mean to be the best?
I really
You
it's
know?
kind of what you're saying. It's you have to look inside. You got to be honest with yourself and say what is it that I view as honorable or where I want to be and or what I want to be like, uh, you have to look deep inside, and that requires some reflection. I tell people all the time, you can't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
So you look yourself in the mirror. Well, you look at yourself and you say, "Self, this is what I want to be, and I know I can do it." And then the next day, you look at yourself again. You're like, "Yep, I didn't do it." Uh,
Yep.
you know, yourself knows, or you can even lie to yourself. You can say, "Oh no, I did it. I did great today." But yourself really knows the truth, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, if you were telling me, I'd be like, "Hey, great job. Hey, I'm proud of you."
Yeah.
But when you're talking to yourself now, completely different story.
Yeah. But so here's a question for you. You were going to be the best leader you could be.
Hmm.
But in order to be that person, you couldn't because you had a family. You have a family. If you're the best leader, that means you're living your job 24/7. You
Yeah.
can't do that. You can't give everything of yourself to the Marines under you because you have a family, and in order to be the
True.
best you can be, at
Well.
some point you almost have to draw a line between being the best you and
Hmm.
being the best master gunnery sergeant.
Yeah.
There's almost two. So we have to kind of pick. How did you resolve those problems?
Um, I just resorted to. I know I'm not perfect, and I know I'm going to screw some stuff up. Uh, but the big important thing to me though is because I can say I want to be the best at whatever my job is, right?
Right,
But the reality is, your job isn't going to be there forever. Like no matter which way you look at it, but your family
right,
should be. I'm not going to say that they are all the time, but they should be there with you.
right.
So, and I always say what was it? The big green machine is going to keep on rolling, uh, no matter what. And so at that point, you know, you try to do what's best and what is right according to orders, regulations, those types of things, and you try to inspire and do all the leadership things. But know that you've got to take care of the family, so there is a balance there, and it's never going to be a perfect balance. There are many times that I answered the phone late at night, or text or whatever, and we're at dinner or anything like that. And, my wife's like, "What in the world are you doing?" But there I am. I'm answering texts, doing whatever I had to do, or having to drive and pick somebody up in jail, or you know, a myriad of
Yep,
different things
yep.
that Marine leaders do. Um, but yeah, it's a tough one. But
So,
I don't ever think
so
there'd be a
he,
perfect one.
right. So I'm going to put you on the spot even more now.
Oh,
So
okay.
you are you're master guns at the School of Music,
Yeah.
in charge of Marine Detachment.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to help these young Marines grow into the best Marines they can be.
Yeah.
Now, in order to do that, sometimes you're telling them things that aren't going to make them be the best Marines. Because you're going to tell them, look, no, 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 no. You need to stay in this practice room until you get this thing correct.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
they're married. Maybe they have a family. Maybe they have, you know, but you're telling them, no, 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 no. That doesn't matter right now. This is the only thing that matters.
Yeah. I, and
From our
that's
point of view, that is.
that is a tough one, right? Because for years and years and years, I would look at things and be like, this is one of the things I always tell Marines. They come in and be like, "Oh, I wasn't able to get that finish," and I'd go, "Did you sleep last night?" And
Yeah.
they go,
Yep.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "Well, then you have plenty of time. I don't know why it's not done." So I was like that for years and years and years, right? And then all of a sudden, it's one thing when you're married and there's just you and your wife. That's one thing. But now I got
Yeah.
kids,
Yes.
and now I understand why people had such a hard time with it, right? Uh, and that didn't mean that I let them get away with a bunch of stuff. It just meant that before I forced them to do something, I thought twice about it.
Right.
So I would say, is this worth it? Or should I be able to let this person go? And that obviously depended on, when was something due, or, how important was it, and is there time to get it finished later, type of stuff. But that is something that popped into my mind, and it changed me, I'd say, for the better, because I can at least understand it.
Yeah, and even within that, I mean, the whole how do we teach them to, because we're still trying to, at least in the School of Music, at the basic course,
Hmm.
uh, you're still trying to teach them, you're still trying to, I don't want to say brainwash, but indoctrinate them. There we
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Indoctrinate them into good core philosophies. And
Yeah.
sometimes core philosophies are you put the core first.
Hmm. Yeah. And
You
that.
know, but I mean, then again, you have a student who's coming in who's 24, married with kids,
Hmm.
because you were married when you came in, right?
I was married. Yeah.
But
I
you
didn't
didn't have
have
any
kids.
children yet.
No,
Okay,
no
yeah,
kids.
but still, you were married,
Hmm.
and
And I'll be honest,
yeah,
I didn't
just
I didn't stay there the amount that they told me to when I was there. And I remember they're like, "Oh, you need to get X amount of hours and this and that and da da da." Nah, I didn't do that. I I went home. I mean, I
boy, I
stayed for a
hope
little
hope
bit,
your
but I went
students aren't
home.
listening tonight.
Yeah, I know, right? Uh, I d- no,
But
I
Master
wasn't
Gons,
out
you said you didn't
falsifying.
do it.
Wasn't out falsifying documents and stuff. But I passed, like, I come in, I'd pass my lesson and all
Right,
that type of stuff. So, um, I guess they kind of overlooked it a little bit because I never really got my butt chewed on for it. Um,
right,
but like I said, it's in a moment. What is the most important aspect, right? And you gotta rack and stack all your things that
right.
you got going on. What is the most important? Do that first, next down the list. Um, and don't ever tell your wife that she's at the bottom of the list. Um,
Right.
yeah, unless you're starting at the bottom of the list. Uh,
Right.
it's an odd way to start, but
Hey, sometimes you got it.
oh man, yeah,
Yeah, it's just, and how do we not only live that, but how do we teach that? How do we teach? Because you almost can't teach it, because in order to teach it to everybody, you have to understand all of their perspectives.
yeah,
And in order to do that, you have to be omnipotent beyond anything that we have here on earth. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, even in
Well,
today's modern technology where you can see all kinds of things, you can't see that much.
yeah. Well, how do you, like, now that because you've been out for what, 10 years,
11 years
11 years?
now. Holy poo.
So you've
Yeah.
been out for 11 years. Um, how do you handle, and how do you see those things now, versus when you were in? I mean, how much did it change for you?
I think that's part of why I'm wallowing so much, is that I haven't really adjusted as much as I try not to be an active duty Marine.
Hmm.
Um, when you've walked that walk for that long,
Yeah,
it's not an easy transition. And I, 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 I'm lucky. I don't have, to the best of my knowledge, any of the PTSD issues. I have most of my own body parts still.
yeah.
I mean, I had a very blessed, easy career,
Hmm.
but, but we strove for 25 years to really toe the line, to be
Yeah,
the best Marine. And I don't know that I'm doing all that. That's part of where I think that whole Manly Man podcast really kind of hit me between the eyes and made me realize, that's what my problem is. I'm trying to operate. I'm in the wrong gear here,
yeah,
and I got to figure out what road am I even on here?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I I'm not. I don't think I'm. I don't think I'm a good example of this because I'm not doing a very good job here.
Well, I mean, I from an outside perspective looking in, I think that you're doing great things where you're at, from everything that I can see. Now, I'm not there 24/7. I got it. But it looks like you've got everything squared away. You know what you're doing. You're doing great things at work. You're doing good things like with the wife and going out and playing in the pit orchestras and stuff like that. I mean, it seems that you have a good handle on your life right now. When you look at it in that perspective, uh, so I can understand the aspect of, man, I've been in this gun club for 25 years and it's hard to transition from that. I totally can understand that because I don't know if I'll ever 100% transition. I don't think we ever 100% will. Um, it'll always be there.
Yeah, I
We
think that's why we don't refer to ourselves as former Marines.
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah,
just
yeah,
retired Marines. We're Marines who don't wear the uniforms.
yeah,
We're yeah. It's I yeah. I don't know. It's. I mean, in some ways, I am absolutely no different than Lance Corporal Kyle. I still try to practice every day. I
yeah.
still try to get exercising in every day.
Hmm.
I still try to do whatever job I'm given to the best of my ability and yet pay attention to my family and really
Yeah.
truly interact deeply and I try to follow the wisdom of Frodo Baggins and, eat often and laugh hearty. But
You crack me up.
because some of that has to happen.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in many regards, I don't know, other than I don't shave as frequently as I used to, that there's a whole lot of difference between me and Lance Corporal Kyle of,
I
25
think
years ago.
though, I think there is a difference though, because when you talk about, we were talking about a second ago, is that or not indoctrination, when you become a man, right? What were you?
Yes, yes.
I
The
can't remember
initiation.
the
Yep.
initiation. Yeah, that initiation of becoming a man, right? Uh, we went through an initiation becoming Marines. Now are all Marines men? You know, could be. There's still some very childlike individuals out there, but we had a transition there, and now you had another transition when you retired, right? Uh,
Yes.
Now it's a matter like, what is it that in that transition in your mind that says, "Hey, we'll say a man at this point, but you have transitioned." What is it that in your mind says that that has happened? It's a good question.
Yes. Yes. Um, because the transition wasn't as the process that you go through. The Marine Corps has really um, perfected that
Hmm.
whole transition, that whole initiation
Yeah.
process down. I mean, to the point where, especially you as a former drill instructor, you know all the thought process that went into the whole disorientation of having everyone come in the evening and then keeping
Yeah.
them awake through the night. Brilliant, the stuff
Hmm.
that psychologists get pitch tense about because that's the kind of stuff that they really enjoy.
Yeah.
And there isn't that kind of there's not that much thought, planning that goes into that transition back out. I mean,
Hmm.
yes, I went through the TAPS class, very good class. I strongly encourage everyone to go through it.
Yeah.
If you are leaving even after one tour, you should probably take the TAPS class because there's a lot of things that we don't think about in
Yeah.
civilian life that
Well, they
you need to reacquaint yourself with real quick.
yeah. Nowadays, it's a requirement for Marines to do that. Now, I don't know how all the other services are, but the Marine Corps, they said it's a hard requirement. You have to do it. In
Yeah,
fact, they
it's
said you're supposed to do it a year out, uh, but that most people don't do that.
right. So I mean, but there's not that kind of, so that my transition out wasn't as dramatic as my transition in.
Okay.
So, especially when I took, um, I had like 3 months worth of leave built up. At that time, you could still do that.
Yeah.
I had 3 months worth of leave built up. So even after the retirement ceremony
Hmm.
and, the speeches and the awards and the gifts and whatnot and the gentle get-togethers,
Hmm.
and then the move back home, I was still getting my paycheck on the 1st and the 30th, the 1st
Yeah.
and 15th of every month for a while. So even that wasn't as, it wasn't like suddenly I had to quickly stop and pop and figure out what I was going to do because we
Yeah.
needed money coming in. So that transition was so much gentler, which is probably good because
Yeah.
I'm not as adaptable at my age now as I was at 20.
Yeah.
If we went through that kind of a transition again, I'd probably break in two. There'd be multiple Davids running around because
Oh my
so
goodness.
yeah. That's probably why. Now that I think about it, that is the proper way to do it.
That brings a question. What do you what do you think that we should be doing, right, as a veteran community for those that are transitioning over? Is there something that we on the veteran side can kind of make a bigger to do, if you will, or a better transitional type of thing? Do you think there's something better out there that we could do?
I think I do, but it's completely infeasible,
Yeah,
unfeasible. It's impractical.
yeah,
We almost need to have like an AA meeting for retirees. Just a place to come together and say, "Hey, have you dealt with this yet? Holy crap, yeah. How do you talk to these? I don't even understand how to. What does this mean? A group together, but it's at least for me because I moved way back into Wisconsin.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I can run across maybe 4 or 5 retirees a
hmm,
month, and they're not all Marines. I mean,
yeah,
one's Navy, two are Air Force. So our our even common core experiences aren't the same.
hmm,
Um, if you're staying in that environment, definitely get involved in your American Legion, your VFW, something
yeah.
where you can get to with other people and say, hey, all right. When someone tells you to go fuck themselves, what are you supposed to say back? Because I tried what we did in the Marine Corps, and
It
he
didn't
wanted to
work.
punch me. You know, what am I supposed to say? What does that
Yeah.
mean? Sorry, I didn't mean to drop the F bomb here in your
It's okay.
podcast. I apologize, but
It's
you
all
know,
right.
these are the types of issues that an AA meeting for retirees would help with.
Yeah.
But but how do you do that? There's got to be,
Oh man.
and I Facebook with some other Marines retired, and I just found out that there's like a retirement a page for gunnery sergeants
Really?
where you can get together. Yeah, but apparently they're all getting out because as soon as the list comes out for Master Sergeant, half of them are moaning and groaning that they didn't get forward, or that they're
Yeah.
excited, or they got the wrong list and they wanted to go First Sergeant instead of Master Sergeant, or
Yeah,
vice
yeah, yeah.
versa. And they're just disgusted with it, so they got off the page. But
Interesting.
I didn't, aware. I guess just a better awareness of what resources are out there, and maybe they're doing that now in the TAF classes. But
They
we
do a
didn't
pretty
really.
good job in the tap classes right now, so that they really take their time to help set you up and give you the tools that you need in order to transition. I won't say that it's going to set you up perfectly, but like for Marines that are going to get out and get a job, right? Uh, that's not me. I'm not getting out and getting a job. In case anybody's
Yes,
wondering,
you
it's not
are.
happening.
You're doing
Uh,
you're doing it right now.
well, I mean, this is for fun, but but they'll sit down, they do resumes, they talk, they do mock job interviews, they do all kinds of stuff like that. And so the programs are there for the servicemen and women now, to be able to at least be set up for success on the outside from that standpoint. Now, I do believe that the because we're so ingrained in what we do in the military, now I'm outside, especially like in your case, I'm so far away. I don't have that outlet anymore, and how do you find that outlet? What do you do?
Yeah.
um, and like you said, that's the veteran organizations. If there's not one in your area, start one.
Yeah. That's definitely something that I should have taken more note of or figured out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
but that's
is there a Marine Corps league up that way?
not that I'm aware of. Or if there is, it's probably down like in Madison, which is about a 3 hour drive from here. So
Yeah, that would.
not something I would do on a daily basis,
Yeah. uh
you know. And I guess that's, that was my choice. This is the
mhm.
area, although we weren't going to settle here. We grew roots really quick. We were
Yeah.
just meant to land here for a moment, and that didn't quite work out very well. Yeah.
She's still
So,
landing.
yeah, apparently, yeah, I'm very tall. It takes me a long time to get down, I guess. So, yeah,
uh,
but
well, I'll put the call out right now. And you're in Wisconsin,
yes,
and oh man, hold on. I'll get it. Oh, help
starts
me
with an
with
M.
the
Menominee.
Menominee. God, I knew that. Okay, you're in Menominee, Wisconsin, and if there are any
Yes.
Marines in that area, region, anything like that that may be listening, uh, you need to hit up Dave Kyle, and if you need his information, you want to get in contact, whatever, you can look him up on the face pages, or you can
Yep. Yep.
message me, and I can get you in
Yes.
contact with him. And I don't know if there's any other way to that you want to put out there, but
It probably is. I just don't know what it is yet. I'm the guy who accidentally shut off my phone as we started the first. So yeah, probably something very obvious that I just not aware of yet. But if you send up a smoke signal, I'll get it. That I can do.
There, okay. Smoke signal, everyone. So just make sure you send up a smoke signal, and you'll have some connection there. Um, but yeah, I mean, word of mouth. I'll try to do my part and try to figure some stuff out. Uh, we need to have you back on another fireside chat. I mean, you bring some good points to things. I'd like to have you on again.
Oh, please,
May,
Andy.
maybe
You
with a
keep
group.
doing the good work.
Yeah, maybe with a group of people, we can have you come on. I'd like to get 5 or 6 people, and we can all sit and argue and whatever, just chat, um, just like we're at a campfire, right?
That's a little bit scary though, Andy. I mean, stop thinking about it. How many times did we get off on tangent when we couldn't remember where we started? That's
That's
just the
true.
two of
Yeah,
us.
yeah. So speaking
It'd
speaking
be
of
like
fire.
grumpy old men. What? Who? What? What are you? What?
Oh my god. Speaking of fireside, right? When I was at Pendleton most recently, and they decided that we were going to have a field mess night. And so we hiked down to, well, we didn't hike very far, to be honest with you, but we took a little nature walk down and ended up on the baseball fields there. And they had a big tent set up. So we had our mess night, right? And a lot of camaraderie and drinking and cigars and the whole thing, right? And then they made this gigantic bonfire because we all had to stay out there, right? Uh, which was probably for the better. But they made
Right,
this
right.
huge bonfire. So I remember standing at the bonfire, and we're all just kind of having a good time. And there was this lieutenant, and this poor dude was just hammered, and he kept trying to throw stuff in the fire and all kinds of stuff. And I look over at the company commander. I'm like, yeah, he probably should stop doing that. And the company commander was like, yeah, he really should stop doing that. So I just yelled at him, hey, Lieutenant. He turned around. I was like, so you need to stop right now. And he goes, oh, I'm all right. And I was like, no, you're not. Stop and move away. That's anyway. Why did that pop in my head? I have no idea, other than campfire, and it was a funny story.
Yeah.
So there.
Lieutenant, you're not okay. That's a child you're trying to throw in the fire.
I can't remember what he was trying to throw in, but he almost fell in the bonfire.
Oh,
I mean, it was
geez.
huge. It was a huge bonfire. So and he was really really wasted. But anyways, good times. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Well,
But no, I look forward to coming back on anytime you have time.
anytime I
And I
have
look
time.
forward to listening. Yeah, and I look forward to listening to more, and then I'll be ready to come back on with more comments about the excellent conversations you have. I mean, good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I hope everybody else out there is enjoying it. We've got some great veteran stories coming up in the future, and then obviously we got fireside chats, and those have been fun, just interesting discussions and stuff. But anyways, yeah, Dave, I'm gonna have you back on. Don't be surprised if you're back. Maybe even next week sometime. But
Okay.
we'll talk about that.
All
All
right.
right. Well, to everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us ramble, and our incompetence of being able to operate our phones. But stay motivated. Change your socks.